guys, welcome back to the channel. So we do a lot of video editing and a lot of still photo editing, Photoshop, Premiere Pro, moving to DaVinci Resolve, and we'll have a video on that changeover soon. So we needed a new computer to run that, so decided to build it ourselves. This was not about having a fancy RGB computer that did all sorts of things and spit flames and lightning shot out of it. It's more about having something that's a workhorse that we can rely on every day, so we picked parts that we thought were pretty stable. So I'm just going to go through the parts list right now, and at the end I'll give you links to everything so you can see where we got them and what we paid for them. We started out with the case. The case that we went with was the Corsair 4000D Airflow. I bought this because it was kind of a medium format, but holds some extra fans. It was relatively inexpensive. You'll see the price at the end. Might even put it on the screen like right here above the box. And this was a nice thing to start with. It did come with a couple of fans, though we did add some more there. I think the next thing to decide was what processor we were going to build this around, and we decided that we were going to go with the i5, the latest 13 gen i5. It's an i5 13600K. It tests well, and as far as bang for the buck, I don't think there's anything in the market that's any better right now. So that was the processor we went with that. Once we decided what processor we were going to use, obviously doing video and still photography editing, we needed a powerful GPU, a graphics processing unit. So we decided to go, I wanted to do at least a 3070. I was concerned about pricing though, so we did some shopping and came up with this Accelerator Gaming Geforce RTX 3070. I got this used in excellent condition. I'll put a link to where I got it from in the description at the end. This thing rocks, and I got it for about half the price of retail. It's performing really well so far. Once we knew what those things were and sort of our power requirements, I decided to go with 750 as far as the power supply. We went with the EVGA 750 BP. It fits well into the case. It is not modular. In hindsight, it would have gone with modular. It would have been a little easier to do the cord wrapping and get everything organized in there. But as it was, it worked out very well and powers the thing just fine. The next thing we did do was add some fans to the case for cooling. You can see them here. So I want to make sure that we had good ventilation in the computer so it would vent well. We went with a cooler for the processor because the i5 didn't come with a CPU cooler. We went with the Hyper 212. It does have RGB, though I don't even have it turned on because it's under my desk and I want it to be dark. I don't want anything down there, and I didn't care about, like I said, like bells and whistles and it being really fancy and lit up. So we went with the Hyper 212 RGB. It's a good cooler. It was relatively easy to install and does a great job. Pieces of the puzzle. Once we knew these things and what we wanted to use, we needed a motherboard. Now, I had to make some choices. We were either going to go DDR4 or DDR5. In the interest of future-proofing, we went DDR5. We went with the Z690 Plus Wi-Fi board that does support DDR5 memory. I know it doesn't test any faster and it's a little more expensive, but I think in the future DDR5 is kind of where it's all heading. So this is something I wanted to future-proof, and I didn't want to have to rebuy the motherboard, being as that's kind of like the core of the machine. But we went with the Asus Tough Gaming motherboard, the Z690 Plus Wi-Fi. I wanted the Wi-Fi built in. Really nice motherboard, very easy to work with, lots of room on there, lots of expansion slots. Very pleased with how that worked. We went with a 2 gig 980 Pro Samsung solid state drive. Wanted something that was robust, that would give me enough size and have to worry about moving files on and off while I was editing, that I could just work with them natively right on the machine, because I don't use a remote SSD to house my projects. I work with everything on the machine. This thing is great. Super fast. It tests really well. And the 980 Pros, the Pro series from Samsung, these SSDs are fantastic. It did come with a heatsink. And even though the motherboard had a heatsink integral ready for this in that slot, I went ahead and used the heatsink that came with this because it fit in there better with the screws. Then the memory was, of course, we went with DDR5. We decided to go with Corsair. I just went with Vengeance DDR5. Amazon screwed up and sent me DDR4. I did send it back, and they sent it pretty quickly. We went with 2 sticks, 16 each, a total of 32 gigs. This thing has got 4 slots and it'll hold triple that or quadruple that. It'll hold a ton. So I think at some point I'll probably put another 2 more 16 sticks in there, so we'll total it up to 64. But right now, running Premiere Pro, running Photoshop, running certainly DaVinci Resolve, the 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM seems to be plenty fast. We don't have any hesitation on there from that at all. Like I said, I didn't care about how fancy the machine was or how great it looked. I wanted a workhorse that would work well every day. I wasn't really concerned about it. For me, it's about real-world processing. My old machine, which was running an old i7 with a 1650 Ti, 15-second 4K video would take about 2 to 3 minutes to render. This machine running the new stuff will render that same in about 15 seconds. So on 4K video, it's rendering a second of video per second. Pretty quick, does a nice job. I'm using hardware rendering within Premiere Pro, and as I'm switching over to DaVinci Resolve, we're doing the same thing. I will have a video coming soon for the changeover from Premiere Pro to DaVinci Resolve, but for now, this machine's running great. Works well in Photoshop. Couldn't be more pleased. I'll give you a list at the end of the video of what we did and how it works, and then maybe someday I'll give you a setup to how I do things at my desk and what I use for a monitor. All right? Great to touch base with you guys. Please subscribe. Like the video if you can. Hit the bell notification. Would really help the channel out. Helps us with the YouTube algorithms. And have a great day. If you have questions, put them down in the comments below, and I'll tell you anything I can answer for you on the machine. The assembly, just FYI, the assembly of the machine took about 3 or 4 hours. Running Windows 11 Pro, which I have an unpaid for version, so I have the little activate Windows thing down there in the corner. Don't really care. It's free. If I need to register, I'll just go on there and get a number. But it's running fast, runs well, it's very stable. It's about 4 hours to build, and probably another 3 or 4 hours of software updates and installations. But great to see you guys. Did it all in one day. Take it easy.